Hello, I'm Trenton Clark with the Virginia Asphalt Association. I'd like to welcome you to this Asphalt Plant Level 2 Credentialing class. This class is required for those of you seeking the Asphalt Plant Level 2 credential to be in compliance with VDOT specification. So as we go through this first chapter on project communications and safety, we will review all the requirements for a Plant Level 1, a Plant Level 2, and we'll touch on the mixed design credential. So let's get started. Here, as you can see in the contract, the various roles and responsibilities are laid out, whether it's on the asphalt side, slurry surfacing, or even the concrete side. You may say, well, I work for VDOT. Why am I in this class? Well, you need to be credentialed if you're just doing the asphalt plant technician work where you're going to the plant, you're observing, you're getting a sample of material and you're bringing it back to the lab. You may be the actual asphalt lab technician where you're performing the test just as the contractor would. So whether it's AC content or gradations. Or lastly, you may be the quality assurance manager. And as the quality assurance manager, at the end you're reviewing mix designs, you're reviewing mix results to see if the mix being performed is within compliance. So, one other thing that's a little different on the asphalt plant side is some of these classes require a proficiency exam. So you will take a written exam. Once you successfully complete the written exam, then you must take a proficiency exam. And for this Plant Level 1 class, that simply means being able to demonstrate that you know how to sample from a truck, take that sample back into the lab, quarter it down, and provide a sample for your Level 2 technician to test, as well as for VDOT to take back to their lab to test. So on the industry side, there's various levels and different positions that will require some sort of credential. So if you're the plant technician and you're going to be sampling material to provide to VDOT, you must be Plant Level 1. So if you're just an operator at a plant, maybe you run a skid steer, whatever it may be, if you're going to be pulling material from the back of that truck and quartering it down, you must carry the Plant Level 1. If you're the mixed design technician, really you're carrying Level 1, Level 2, is also you have VDOT's mixed design credential. Again, it goes through taking the different classes, taking the different tests, and then passing the proficiencies. And as you can see, different roles and responsibilities may change from company to company, but keep in the back of your mind, if your job is to do sampling, you must hold this credential. So, let's look at Plant Level 1 specific to this class. What are we trying to cover to make sure that you're able to be credentialed? One, we want to make sure you know what are the different components of the asphalt mix, what are the different components during production, and most importantly, how do you go about sampling that asphalt mixture itself? As you can see, as we've laid out in this table pretty concisely, one, there's no prerequisite, so this is your introductory course, but you do have to pass a written exam, and then once you pass the written exam, then we perform a proficiency. Whether it's in-site or something that we can do virtually, we need to make sure you can follow VTM 48 on how you actually sample and AASHTO R47 on how you split it down. So we're going to cover all that material in this class that you're going to be attending. Plant Level 2 certification, for those of you that stick in this class, or those of you that are in the Plant Level 2 class, we take it that next step. You do have to be Plant Level 1 certified. So you have to pass through that. You have to pass the exam and the proficiency. But then when we give you the proficiency after passing the written exam, now you have additional tests that you must demonstrate proficiency in. And again, those proficiencies can be done in a lab, or we can do those virtually as well. But you have to be able to demonstrate you can go step by step by step. Very importantly, VDOT-U, you need to make sure you're in their system, because if not, you take the class, when they go to record your grade, they need to match it up with your ID that's in VDOT-U, so make sure you've registered. Go to that virtual campus, follow the steps, and get your ID so you can be shown there. Just a quick look at what that would look like, one of the splash screens. But again, you're putting in your name, your password, logging in, etc. If you have any problems with this, please contact VDOT's Materials Division or contact somebody in VDOT's training section so they can walk you through it. So what are we going to go through in this first chapter? What are some of the things that we hope you learn as we go through this class? Well, what are the various types of communications that you need to be making sure it's going on at the plant and in your project? The type of project documents. What is the most important to the least important in terms of the hierarchy? And the reason why you may say, I'm just at the plant, I'm not out on a project, you need to make sure that you have that good communication with your field individuals to make sure, and your contract administrators, to make sure that if you're sampling a mix, you're doing it in case there's any changes to the protocol. Fortunately for plant level 1, it's a pretty straightforward protocol, but again, understanding the process is very important in the contract documents. We're going to talk about safety. Safety is very important to us. We want to make sure that you go home the same way you came to work. Asphalt plant has a lot of moving parts. It's got a lot of hot parts, whether it's from the running of it or it could be from the asphalt liquid itself. So we need to make sure what they are and that you understand the dangers that exist around that plant. Because again, we want everybody to be safe. We want everybody to go home the way they came to work. So let's talk about some of the plant and project communication. Some of the things that you need to be aware of is that it's vital to making sure this project goes well. So on a project, you have everything from special provision copy notes, which may include that information that might be specific to a mix that's being produced. Then we have actual plans, shows how a project is laid out. It could be the specs themselves. So as you can see, there's many different parts and you need to know how each of these relate to one another. Just having an understanding, so making sure that you're in communications with the project team. So when we look at the project itself, what is the most important is that special provision copy note. So when your project or your company gets a project, a good question to ask is there any special provision copy notes specific to this project? Could be sampling, but it could be there's some differences in the testing results. So if you're a plant level 2 technician, maybe the voids and total mix changes for a specific material, you need to know what those are. You have special provisions. Special provisions, again, are written. Typically, they're general use, but they can be for a specific project. But on that, again, it could be something unique to a material. So you need to understand that as well. You have plan documents, you have supplemental specs, you have your standard spec book, whether you've got a physical copy or you've got a copy that you keep on your computer, all the way down to standard drawings. What you need to keep in mind is the lowest priority is those standard drawings, and the highest priority is those special provision copy notes. So when you're looking at a contract document, whether you're a plant 1, a plant 2, or a mixed design technician, you need to know what's in that contract to make sure you're testing that material or sampling that material per the contract documents. So keep those things in mind. Special provision copy notes are your highest priority. They trump everything. Standard drawings are your lowest. So I always encourage folks to, when they have a project, look through the document to see, do I have any special provision copy notes? The answer to that's no. Then what are my special provisions? And that could be, typically for this class, we're looking at a specific type of material or changes to a material, like a balanced mix design approach, all the way down to the bottom. So, what type of communications are we typically seeing on contracts and projects that also impact you at the plant? Well, there's pre-construction conferences. So as the project has been awarded, the contract documents are signed, we're going to a pre-construction conference. That's typically where a lot of the discussion is held that's unique to that project. There's a lot of discussion between the contractor and the department on how contract is going to be executed, some types of the timelines. So that pre-construction conference is one of those first things that we do when a job is being executed. And in that can be where some of the nuances are discussed. Throughout the life of that project, we may actually have some formal meetings. They can be requested either by the department or by the contractor, but you'll have those. We have a lot of informal meetings and information sharing. So as the project progresses, maybe it's just a quick meeting at the project office. It can be a quick meeting out on the site. One of the things that I very much encourage you to do is that last thing, written communication. Whatever you discuss, and if it's decided that's different than what's in your contract document, make sure you have it documented. So that informal meeting may end up with a direction to do one thing or something else that is different than what the contract said. Make sure you have that documented to protect each party, to understand this is what was said and this is what was agreed to. And then you follow it up with some written communication. So while the project's going on, let's make sure we're safe around the plant, because there's numerous dangers, whether you're on a construction project or at the plant itself. Communication is key. It's everybody's responsibility to make sure everyone else is safe. Make sure you have clear-cut guidelines on how you're dealing with safety. You can't leave it up in the air. So having that developed, distributed plan on how you're going to go about going through safety is critical. Everybody should know what they're doing. They should have the proper equipment. They need to make sure that they're not only trained once, but they're trained over to make sure that everybody is clear on what is going on. Make sure the OSHA guidelines are being followed. We'll have a presentation later on a lot of the things that go around the plant to make sure people are safe. Those safety talks, just keeping it fresh and in front of everybody is critical. And when something happens, and unfortunately things will happen, corrective actions are put into place to try to ensure that doesn't happen again. So, let's look back at what we're trying to do. First and foremost, MCS certification is part of the VDOT specs. They're part of the requirements. Classes such as the Plant Level 1, the Plant Level 2, and the Mixed Design require a proficiency be taken. Remember, in your contract documents, that special provision copy note is the highest level, followed by special provision, all the way down to your standard drawing. So make sure you know what's in that contract as you get started. Projects start with that pre-construction conference, and it can go throughout the life. Maybe they're formal meetings, maybe they're informal meetings, but definitely make sure that any decisions that are are decided upon, are documented. And last but not least, and I can't stress this enough, safety is everyone's priority. It's not just the safety director for a company. It's not the safety people for VDOT. It's everyone on that project. Not only are you looking out for yourself, but you're looking out for all of those around you. So with that, we've got a few knowledge checks here at the end of this chapter. Take a few minutes, run through those knowledge checks. All the answers to them are in the back of your study guide, so if you have any questions. And with that, good luck.